Anime begins with a man named Satoru Mikami, who is an ordinary office employee, is murdered by a stab one day. He wakes in a cavern in an unknown fictional realm to find that he's been reborn as a slime, with diverse talents developed from his parting words before dying. The slime runs through and becomes friends with Veldora, an old dragon, who's been locked in the cavern decades ago when he was exploring the dungeon and developing newly found skills with the help of a wise sage dwelling in his head. The slime, who now is named Rimuru Tempest, joins Veldora in breaking the seal by swallowing him within his body and investigating the dragon from all angles. Rimuru can get out of the grotto when some explorers open the cave, having gained more abilities by devouring other animals. Rimuru then comes across some goblins who plead for his assistance in shielding them from a pack of dire wolves. Rimuru fights the dire wolves alongside the goblins and destroys their commander, causing them to retreat. Rimuru convinces the dire wolves and goblins to live peacefully and then goes asleep for 3 days owing to the exhaustion of his power. When he awakens, he realizes that the names he gave the dire wolf-san goblin shade evolved them. A small group in Rimuru went forth to the city of Dworgen to ask for assistance from dwarves craftsmen when they realized that the goblins cannot make homes and clothing. When Rimuru arrives in Dworgen with Gata the Goblin, he gets into a battle with several goons and is imprisoned. After giving the guards remedies, Rimuru is ultimately let free and brought to a blacksmith, Kaijin. Rimuru uses the magisterial ore he acquired in the caverns to assist Kaijin in fulfilling an order for longswords in return for his assistance in finding craftsmen for the goblin town. A stranger approaches the dwarves and Rimuru as they drink at an elf club. A psychic elf chooses to foretell Rimuru's fate by flashing him a sight of a girl leaving her home. Vesta, the official who requested the swords, comes and taunts Rimuru, and Kaijin smacks him in the face, causing him, the dwarves, and Rimuru to be imprisoned and bought for investigation. Kaijin and his men are exiled during the trial by the heroic King Gazel Dwargo, who had a previous relationship with Kaijin. Kaijin's men thereafter work as craftsmen for Rimuru. After evicting Vesta for his dishonest conduct, Gazel sends a ninja to track Rimuru down, recognizing his ties to Veldora. When one clan leader orders Jido, Kavol, and Aaron the explorers who found Veldora's absence from the cavern to inspect the woods, a veiled girl, Shizu requests to accompany them. When they get into danger, Rimuru comes to their aid, recognizing Shizu is the girl from his vision. Rimuru recounts some of his memory of a modernized, tranquil Japan while Shizu confesses she was called to this planet from Japan during the war. Rimuru, on the other hand, is unaware that who called Shizu in this world, the demon king Leon Cromwell, had made her the conduit of the spirit of Fire Ifrit. Shizu remembers her pain when the Ifrit within her killed her mate because she was an opponent. Shizu is about to go with the explorers when Ifrit seizes possession of her and releases his fury on the town. Rimuru uses the ice spell of Aaron to deal with Ifrit's troops when his water assaults fail. Rimuru employs his predatory skills to devour Ifrit, distancing him from Shizu, after finding that he is resistant to fire assaults. Rimuru hears Shizu's story of the hero, a person who adopted her and guided her down the correct path before vanishing someday without a trace. Shizu, realizing her lifetime is drawing to an end, requests Rimuru to devour her, granting him the power to take on a human shape. As Rimuru starts to look for details on Leon to transmit Shizu's parting words to him, a disguised guy Gelmud hires an orc, Geld, to unleash a massive orc catastrophe in the woods. As Rimuru becomes comfortable with the shape and skills he acquired from Shizu, the goblins are attacked by a gang of ghouls who accuse Rimuru of persuading orcs to assault their town. Rimuru succeeds to persuade the ogres that he isn't their opponent and takes everyone to the goblin town to discuss matters. Rimuru offers that the ogres serve him as his servants after discovering that the orcs that invaded the ogre hamlet were headed by a disguised magin. Rimuru evolved the orcs in Kijins by naming them Shuna, Benimaru, Hakuro, Cheyenne, Kurab Hakuru, and Sui, upon accepting a short partnership till the orcs are routed. Meantime, the lizardmen's captain, feeling an orc lord commanding the hundreds of orcs coming in their direction, orders Gabru, his son, to gather the assistance of goblins. Some ogres, including Benimaru, had been with Rimuru for some days now. Gabru appears in Rimuru's town to persuade everybody to join him in fighting the invaders. Gobta is brought into combat Gabru, swiftly beating him only with techniques he's learned and causing the lizard men to flee. Afterward, Rimuru is visited by a dryad, Trainee, who requests that he destroy the Orc King. Trainee says that the Orc King has utilized his starved ability on the orcs, leading them to continually want food, become mad, and even devour themselves to obtain greater strength. Considering Trainee's plea, Rimuru sent Sui to seek an alliance with the lizard men. While the captain advises his warriors not to fight the orcs till Rimuru's squad comes, Gabiru, convinced by Gelmud's servant Laplace's statements, seizes the chieftain's post and takes the lizard men into a frontal assault on the orcs, unknowing of the Orc King's actual strength. Rimuru's gang encounters the sister of Gabiru, who tells them of Gabiru's rebellion and requests that they free the captain and protect the lizard men. Later, Gabiru and his troops are trapped after orcs swallow one of their soldiers and absorb their abilities. When Trainee finds Laplace and Gelmud and forces them to quit the jungle, Gabiru fights the general of orcs but is saved by Rimuru's crew. As Sui saves the captain, the group defeats the commander and the majority of the orc army, and Rimuru proceeds to meet Geld, the Orc King. Gelmud comes unexpectedly, explaining that he made the Orc King in order to change it into a fresh demon king. Gelmud is slain and swallowed by Geld after he failed to defeat Rimuru. Geld grows into the Demon King Orc Disaster, who becomes too strong for the Kijins to fight. Rimuru, understanding Geld's strength, seems to have the great sage seize possession of his body to confront him. However, after Geld acquires fire resistance, Rimuru takes possession and goes into a fight with Geld to determine who can swallow the other sooner. Rimuru ingests Geld's sins together with his flesh after discovering that Geld was on a mission to end the starvation affecting his village before being duped by Gelmud. When the goblins are released from the effects of starved, the Kijins elect to keep supporting Rimuru. Rimuru creates the Jura Forest Alliance to enable orcs, lizard men, and goblins to peacefully coexist, and unintentionally becomes the chancellor of the alliance. Rimuru confers the surname Geld on the child of the Orc Lord, transforming him to become Orc Lord and the remaining orcs becoming noble orcs. The lizard men leader is then given the title of Biru. Later, Gabiru is expelled by the lizard men, banished from their society, and set off on a voyage. Approximately after 3 months, Dwarf's king named Gazel along with his troops come to the goblin town to invite Rimuru to a fight and find out the truth about him. As Rimuru successfully deflects all of his attacks and finds that both share the same master Hakuru, Gazel admits that he isn't a bad person and suggests peace among their factions. A new nation called the Jura Tempest Federation is established and given formal status. Gazel returns 2 days after making an agreement with Rimuru, this time accompanied by Vesta, who says sorry to Kijin and Rimuru for the difficulties he deliberately caused and starts working as a researcher for them. Rimuru's slaves include Gabiru and his sister, as well as various more lizard men that evolve into dragonets when Rimuru named them. Malim Nava, one of the demon kings, returns to the Jura forest following the recent Orc King's defeat and meets Rimuru. The Kijins and Rongda emerge to protect Rimuru, afraid for the master's safety, but they can do nothing over her enormous strength. In the end, Malim is calmed by Rimuru by giving her some honey to chew on, and both start getting along. Malim then decides to move in with him at the hamlet. Though their delight that she'll no longer fight them, Rimuru's council is worried about Rimuru and Malim's new relationship because the other demon kings may see it as a danger to their power balance. Vesta manages in creating an entire potion that equals Rimuru's concoctions, causing Rimuru to try negotiating in the town to make cheap potions. Afterward, when Demon King Carrion's Beastkeeper, Phobio arrives at Tempest with the intention of gaining control but is immediately met by Malim before Rimuru settles matters quietly. Afterward, the Frontier Survey Corps, commanded by a guy named Yum, rejoined Aaron's company and came to town, whereupon Rimuru asked them to claim the credit for slaying the Orc King. However, the Demon King Clayman becomes interested in the formidable creature Charybdis and sent Ter the Harlequin for investigation. When Phobio is fuming about Malim's dishonor, Footman and Tyr, both of Clayman's Harlequin, visit him and persuade Phobio to be a Demon King immediately to just get retribution on Malim. All he has to do is allow Charybdis to take his body while maintaining possession. Charybdis' seal is broken by Phobio. Tyr says that she was ordered to resurrect Charybdis and deliver it to Malim. Tria, the sister of Trainee, informs Rimuru about the resuscitation. Charybdis is the thoughtless king of the heavens who was created out of a mist of Ladora's magicules. It has called 13 Megalodon from the spiritual realm to assist it in its rage and is now on its way to Jura. The Dworgen Empire and Rimuru are getting ready for combat. Rimuru's warriors, backed by 100 Pegasus warriors of Dworgen, slay the Megalodons and then tried, but couldn't succeed, to defeat Charybdis with a massive attack. Rimuru eventually faces Charybdis, just to realize that it's controlling Phobio and that Melim is its actual target. Melim beats Charybdis after saving Phobio's life upon Rimuru's plea. Well, after a fight, Phobio asks for forgiveness for causing so much disturbance, and his master, the demon King Carrion, agrees to a peaceful agreement with Tempest. Everyone, including Rimuru and others, ultimately realizes that Harlequin of Clayman is to blame for all of their recent problems. The town's win is celebrated with a crisp Megalodon. Rimuru dreams at night that Shizu is regretting not being unable to assist the kids, 5 youngsters ushered into this realm. Ranga and Rimuru travel to the land of Ingracia to visit them, where he encounters the Grandmaster, Yuki Kagarazaka, in command of the kids while he was a teen. Yuki makes arrangements for Rimuru to coach Shizu's kids and tells him that, whereas both of them are from other worlds who come there, the kids are summons who have been summoned to just be weapons for their summoner. Kids are so full of power in their youthful bodies that they'll expire in 5 years. Rimuru swears to fulfill Shizu's dream and protect them. Rimuru claims to have been reborn in this dimension for 2 years, setting Melim's appearance at minimum 1 year following the Orc King tragedy. Shizu's trainees do not honor Rimuru, thus he chooses to prove the distinction in their abilities in a string of fights. Kenya employs fire magic, Chloe employs water magic, magic bullets are used by Gale, Ryota employs body modifications, and Alice does puppetry to command toys to assault him. They concede defeat and acknowledge him as their sensei. Rimuru makes an appearance to trainee, thinking that if the kids are occupied by higher spirits, they would thrive, as Shizu was called a youngster but survived to maturity, presumably due to Ifrit. Trainee takes them to the House of Spirits, with the Majesty of Spirits, whom the Dryad served, dead. They had broken their connection with it and now don't know the way in. They watch a sky dragon on its way to the palace while having a trip with the kids, so Rimuru takes action and swallows it using gluttony. Rimuru's looks are salvaged when Jalmire, a traitor, asks them to have dinner with them. Jalmire recognizes Rimuru and he asks Jalmire to town to assist them in selling their items, to which he agreed. Jalmire's helper requests that the spirits queen guard the kids following dinner. She explains to a wondering Rimuru that she is from a hamlet nearby the House of Spirits. Rimuru, Ramda, and the kids travel to the spot. Ramda and Rimuru along with the kids walk in the dwelling of spirits, where a ghost in the first maze challenges them with a massive metal golem, which Rimuru swiftly decimates. The labyrinth ghost reveals she is Ramiris, one among the 10 demon masters, yet no one trusts her since she is so little. She says that Leon, the person who called Shizu, was once a hero before falling out of favor and becoming a demon king. Similarly, she was the Empress of Spirits until dying and reincarnating as a demon king. Ramiris offers to help Rimuru call higher spirits in return for creating a fresh golem for her. A swarm of lower spirits responds to Ryota, Gale, and Alice's prayers. Thus Rimuru eats all and transforms them into 3 new higher spirits, who effectively possess the trio. Kenya attracts and is occupied by a high light soul. Veldora reacts to the appearance of an unidentified spirit-like figure. Although Ramiris attempts to prevent it because she believes it is unsafe, it continues to control Chloe. Nevertheless, the kids' deadly power has subsided, and they'll survive. Rimuru creates a fresh golem for Remri, and the 2 of them travel back to Ingracia. Yuki believes it is doubtful that the states which dumped the kids will strive to retrieve them to allow the kids to enjoy ordinary lives. Rimuru keeps his rescue plan a secret from Yuki. He recalls the previous 2 years and claims that all of their troubles have indeed been settled. Rimuru sends Shizu's magical suppressing mask to Chloe, although he's not sure why, he just knows it is for the good. A suspicious lady is monitoring Rimuru, unnoticed to him. A lady on her deathbed calls a demon to revenge her partner's deaths, and indeed the demon accepts, figuring it will be a nice distraction. A memory of Shizu, she is called to the realm of Filtwood along with other heroes to prevent a demon from recreating its corpse underneath the palace. Some people attempt to run after finding that a pair of famed explorers, Silver Wings, were slaughtered by the unknown demon. The official declined to allow them to go, stating that a few of them are controlled by demons, causing anxiety among the crowd. One of the group, the previous demon, begins to chuckle, saying the warriors called the smaller demons but giving no explanation. He says that he has been contracted to kill a demon and that he plans to murder all of the other heroes there in order to discover the responsible person. Shizu refused to let this happen and fights the entity known as Kuro. Shizu's mask reflects one of his hits, breaking his arm. He chooses to leave, claiming that the battle was entertaining since Shizu could injure him. Shizu remembered Leon telling her that the strongest demons are the progenitor, who have been represented by colors such as noir, black, and rouge, red. A warrior calls her to the Lord and brings her underneath the palace. The Lord and cabinet member are disclosed to be pawns of the exact demon Shizu was recruited to halt, who now has chosen to take on the character of the adventurer who earlier beaten him, Orthos, gaining the title Orthos and turning into an archdemon. They plan to offer the heroes and Shizu, who is still exhausted after her combat, for him to restore his complete power. Orthos defeats her, and though Kuro seems to come on time and ends up killing the Lord and his minister. He confesses that he was sent to revenge the dead Silver Wings and that he fulfilled his vows. He chastises Orthos because of being overly confident while being a Rouge dependent and kills his spirit. Kuro allegedly assassinated the Lord and Minister, whom Shizu later fought. Kuro claims he has had no motive to attack Shizu if they maintain their statements clean. In the post-credit scene, Kuro examines Rimuru with a sorcery's glass and swears that the next time they meet, Rimuru would bring him to the truth of this world.